Roberta Berk, here to reflect on the legacy of Dick Berk, gone but not forgotten, and he'll live on with his induction into the Oregon Music Hall of Fame. Thank you so much for being here and giving us a little bit of his wonderful backstory. A deserved Heritage Award in the Oregon Music Hall of Fame.
Thank you so much. I know he's watching. I know he's thrilled, because nothing was more important to Dick than keeping bebop alive and getting young kids involved. And he started the Jazz Adoption Agency in the 80s and got every young kid who wanted the experience of playing, learning. He'd get them into clubs. He'd go talk to their parents to bring them to the jam sessions so that they could really hear live and sit in and get a feel for what it was like playing with the musicians. And he gave a lot of them their first opportunity in a recording studio.
What a gift. What a gift.
Yeah.
A true gift. Well, the story goes that from the moment that Dick Berk found his father's drumsticks tucked into a box of mementos, what was he, 6, 7 years old, just a kid, he knew that he wanted to be a drummer. He never had lessons, but he found his way into the drums, which I think a lot of drummers have had that experience. They've never really had the lesson. You sit behind the kit, and then you start banging away on it.
He said, you have to listen. It's not technical, it's feeling. You feel it, you hear it, you play it. He couldn't read a note of music either. But he said you had to have good ears.
I think a lot of drummers I know say that the drum kit, the drummer, it plays melody. There's melody in the drumming.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's where the ears come in. Although he'd been an important part of the Portland jazz scene for a long time, he was internationally known, Dick was, a jazz drummer who was Billie Holiday's last drummer. And he played with the greats. I just have to say these names: Charles Mingus, Frank Sinatra, Herbie Hancock, Anita O'Day, one of my favorites, Mose Allison, Cal Tjader. I mean, to be playing with this list of musicians and artists is no small potatoes. How did that happen for him?
He would hang out at the Black Hawk and watch through the windows because he was too young to get in. And actually, Philly Joe Jones took notice of the kid peering through the window and came to Dick's house, talked to the parents, said, he's got what it takes. We have to get him hooked up and get him out playing. And a dear friend of Dick's was a fight manager and knew Miles, managed his fighters, and when Billie lost her drummer, they recommended Dick. She said, all I need is someone who can keep time. He said, this kid'll keep time. In 1958, he went with Billie, and they played the first Monterey Jazz Festival.
I mean, to just keep time, but that's keeping time for Billie Holiday is huge.
Of course.
That was a huge, huge thing. I like the fact, too, that Dick had some screen credits. Martin Scorsese's film, New York, New York. How did Dick come to Scorsese's attention? How did that happen?
You know, I honestly don't know how he came to his attention. First, he, I think, met or played at some party. And when Marty called him, he hung up because he was sure it was a joke. And called back and asked him if he'd take Bobby De Niro around to jazz clubs so he could absorb what it'd be like.
Bobby De Niro, huh?
They became very good friends. He cared about the musicians. He got them on actors' contracts and made sure they had enough lines that they'd get residuals on the film for life. He made sure that Dick got credits and that the drum company and the cymbal company got credits. credits. He felt it was important to promote the artist and the companies that supported
And that was Robert De
him
Niro who made sure that
doing.
happened.
So he worked on that, and then he was called again for Raging Bull that Marty and Bobby did, and he played. He had a band at the end of the movie, and
What a wonderful experience.
it was fabulous.
Dick brought such richness to the Portland jazz scene, blessed to be able to enjoy. And there, I don't know the jazz scene at this point in 2019, but we used to go to a lot of jazz clubs, but you were blessed to be able to enjoy jazz at, say, the Coyotes Bar and Grill in Hillsborough, for instance.
Right.
Wilf's.
Yep.
He's left a beautiful legacy for Portland with this keeping time.
Keeping time. And a wicked left hand.
Well, I'll have to practice my drum. I have one in our living room.
Oh, good.
Reflect on what it was like to live with a drummer. A drum kit in the living room?
No.
Noisy life?
Never practiced, never set up drums in the house. He felt he knew his craft. It was all by feeling, and never once were there any drums in our home or cymbals. Everything was stacked neatly in the garage.
You're so lucky.
I was very lucky. Now, we had a piano that he would, even though he couldn't play, he would compose on. He'd plunk out the notes and record it and then send it to someone to transcribe it.
Right. A lot of people write their music either on a guitar or the piano.
Right. He just,
An
he was
amazing man.
ready when anybody called.
Yeah. Well, we're very, very proud to have him be part of the Oregon Music Hall of Fame, the Dick Berk, a deserved heritage award that he's received, that you, by way of him, have also
Right.
received, to keep his legacy going. He'll
Thank
always
you.
be there. When you found out that we were going to honor him in this way with the Heritage Award, what were your thoughts?
I was so happy that he was what I felt getting the recognition he deserved for years. I was thrilled and sorry he's not alive but I know he's aware, he knows. He's left a legacy with a lot of young players. His last student is a brilliant drummer, and we stay in very close contact, and it's an award well deserved. He got a lot of people started in the industry, and he loved playing. He said whoever called, he was ready. He was like a whore with drumsticks. So,
Roberta Berk, thank you for sharing your memories
thank you.
of Dick Berk. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Thanks.